Welcome back to another episode of the Rock Solid Sports Podcast. Today's Tuesday, June 24th, and the Oklahoma City Thunder had maybe one of the best parades in a while.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The Thunder did win the championship, though. We'll talk about that. Some other news in the NBA, some trades. Kevin Durant to the Rockets.
Yep.
Porzingis to the Hawks. Drew Holiday out of Boston as well. We're going to get into all of that. So, yeah, let's do it.
We gonna make it, baby.
Welcome back to another episode of the Rock Solid Sports Podcast. We are brought to you by Sluv, as usual. Go check them out online at sluv.co. That is SLUV.co, or on their website at sluv.us. That is SLUV.us. All right, first thing. The Oklahoma City Thunder have won the 2025 NBA championship.
Yeah, no, I mean, as soon as Halliburton went down, it was pretty obvious that was going to kind of be the outcome. The announcers, the commentators even said it at the end. It's like, there was like 5 minutes left. They're down 13. They're like, if Halliburton's playing in this game right now, they're still in this game, could win it. He started the game out hot. I think he was 3 for 3 on threes there. And yeah, he would have been that's probably maybe close to 40 points they missed out on in that game. If he plays the whole thing, I think that the Pacers win, to be honest. But that's how life rolls sometimes. It's really unfortunate, and hopefully he gets back on his feet as quickly as possible. But yeah, Oklahoma City got it done. I've never seen a quieter locker room or on-court celebration after winning a finals championship. But, to each their own. But, yeah, it just sucks because I think the Pacers would have maybe even won handily. It had Halliburton stayed in the game and stayed as hot as he started. But it's just unfortunate. You just brought him back in, like, the middle of the fourth. I think you could have willed him to a win. I just don't think that team was ready to win without him. And it'll be very interesting to see what they do to maybe improve on some certain things going into next season because, you've said it a bunch that they weren't really supposed to be in this position. So maybe put themselves in a better position to be here next year, especially since Halliburton will more than likely miss most of the season next year.
If not all of it, yeah.
Yeah. It really depends on how well he heals and rehabs. But, yeah, he'll be out for at least a majority of the season next year. So they're going to need to find some pieces to make up for that so that if he can come back for, like, playoffs, that he's ready to go and he's surrounded by guys, who can help him out and put the team in a good position.
Oh, yeah, 3 guys with the number 0 tore their Achilles in the Eastern Conference playoffs this year, which is pretty crazy. It's a weird coincidence. But also there's just like the weird it's obviously science. It's not really weird. But like the calf strain to torn Achilles, like a ratio that's been happening in the NBA like the last 4 years, ever since pretty much Kevin Durant did it in 2019. Blessings that Aaron Gordon never hurt himself more damagely than just like the straight hamstring that he had, considering kind of the same circumstances. Did you see the Oklahoma City Thunder championship hats?
Yeah. I didn't mind them.
You didn't mind them?
I didn't think they were like disgusting, but it's just a lot of effort put into it, and you can tell.
Yeah, like it's not like super flashy, but it's not ugly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's all right. It looks like a golfer hat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They started doing this, though, like I think the year the Nuggets won it, where it's just a stamp on. Like the patch, the logo, so whoever wins it, they can just stamp it on.
Ours is pretty good, though. The Nuggets hat. That one felt
I liked it, but like you can still tell it's a stamp on.
Yeah.
Like, I think that people are just so upset because it's so obviously, I don't know, like thrown together. Like I said, it just doesn't look like a championship hat. It just looks like a typical everyday hat you'd see.
Michael Rubin's too focused on Fanatics Fest in New York rather than making cool hats. But, that does suck that the Pacers lost. I was really cheering for them, especially obviously after the Thunder knocked out the Nuggets. So my one hope was that the Pacers were going to get it done. I know some people listening to this don't think that way. I know they were rooting for the Thunder, being Knicks fans and stuff, losing to the Pacers. But, it sucked to see Tyrese go down like that. We literally just got back in the car and heard it on the radio.
Literally turned the radio on.
The first play. He tore his Achilles. So, poor guy. But on to next season. The Oklahoma City Thunder parade, rumored to have 600,000 people. I didn't see 600,000 people in those videos.
They had NBA TV on at B-Dubs today, and there were some different shots. There was a shit ton of people there.
Good amount. I'll say I know the Nuggets had 750,
Well,
and it looked like we had like 3 million just because of maybe the space or something. But
yeah, and I mean, they do this every year. They did it for the Nuggets, too. They're like, oh, look at this Nuggets parade, and it's just like where they started from, and so there's like nobody there.
Yeah.
And so they use that as like a picture, but like it did look very damning, those pictures they were putting out. But yeah, they ended up having a shit ton of people there.
Also, some of the other funny stuff I saw was from the celebration. Chet Holmgren, don't like him at all, but he was just hammered, which was hilarious. He said he has to lock in. He did lock in immediately after that, so respect for that.
How old is he?
He has to be like 22, 23.
Okay.
But like all their guys, it was so funny. Like they're all so young that when they won, it just the videos of them in clubs just like being absolutely like piss hammered or just it wasn't normal for them because obviously most of them aren't partiers. You know, they grew up the last 20 years of their lives like dedicating their lives to basketball.
Yeah.
So that they finally got to go out and do this. I think Jalen Williams said he's never drinking before the other day after they won the championship. And then today he had like a bottle of Don Julio or what was it, 1942, and then something else in his hand too. I was like, oh well, the trend started. I also think I heard rumors Jalen Williams wouldn't say too much about it, but rumor has it they spent a very large amount of money on strippers after the championship. Yeah. So that must have been the biggest financial payday for strippers in the city of Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
City.
I can't imagine the talent there at OKC, but. I mean, when you win it, you gotta go all out. The locker room looked a little bit to be desired, but then you gotta realize there's not really anybody in there who's won one. I think it's like Alex Caruso.
Only Alex Caruso, yeah.
He's like the only one that's won one, and he won one did he win it in the bubble?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure that wasn't that crazy of a celebration either. So like nobody in there really knows like what they're doing. There's usually some vet who can get that done, but there's nobody in there. It's just a bunch of kids surrounded by champagne bottles and Michelob Ultra.
They left like 50 Michelobs just sitting there and like 30 champagne bottles.
Yeah. Did you hear how Chet pronounced Michelob? Michelob.
Oh, yeah. See,
he's like, I got my Michelob glasses.
They don't know what's going on. It's okay though. But yeah, good season by them. I mean, I think when the season started, I think we all kind of picked like Thunder Celtics or like Nuggets Celtics, which again, I think the Nuggets were very close to being there as well. If they just beat the Thunder in Game 7, I feel like we would have been in the same spot. But then, the Celtics just having bad injury luck. And we'll talk about what they just did to get off 2 of their huge salaries. But, congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder, I guess. We'll talk about next year, obviously, at a later date. But I'm already kind of excited, considering some of the moves we've seen. I guess the first one we'll talk about, Kevin Durant. To the Houston Rockets. I think it was 5 second-rounders, Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks and I think number 8 pick or whatever it is this year, 18 maybe. But all going to Phoenix in return for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, I think, has played for his 6th team now, 5th or 6th. Probably his last chance to win a championship, and I think this team is significantly better than what Phoenix was looking like the last couple years.
No, yeah, definitely, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the Rockets do because they were number 2 in the West this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of like improve upon that. When you get KD, it's pretty easy to improve. And I think they're going to have a pretty successful season. I think one thing that I'm interested to see is I could see the Phoenix Suns in about 3 years or so being really good and developing into a crazy team, kind of like how, in football terms, like the Lions, how they made all those deals and moved everybody around. They were kind of whatever for a little bit, and then out of nowhere they became this team. I think the Suns are going to kind of do that. But yeah, the Rockets, another team that I feel like has got a lot of youth to it. And then just adding in this mentor who's an unbelievable basketball player. It's going to be really interesting to see. And if they keep improving off of what they've already done, the sky's the limit.
The fact that the Suns weren't able to get Jabari Smith Jr. or Tari Eason out of that trade it blew my mind. That was crazy. But Caden, any thoughts on Kevin Durant to the Rockets? How does that change the West? Does it change the West? Does it change the Rockets?
I think the only thing that really changes about the West is I think that we're going to see Phoenix drop a few places in the rankings. That's for sure. I think Houston stays probably pretty similar. I don't think that they lost too much to be able to get on maybe draft capital, but like Jalen Green wasn't playing that well, and Who was the other guy they traded? I don't remember.
Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks. I mean, any team could do without Dylan Brooks, I think. So
And Jalen Green.
and Jalen Green, yeah. So I guess I think that I would expect them to see them in the same position.
Second place, maybe a semifinals trip rather than losing to like a Golden State in the first round.
I would say that the only thing is maybe a little farther in the playoffs now that they have Kevin Durant, who has an extreme amount of playoff experience.
Yeah. Does this affect his legacy at all? Once again, I feel like we say this every time that he goes to a new team, but I feel like it's just so common now that I think, the answer is no, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's a no. I think the legacies of all of like the trio of those OKC guys is going to always be they were some of the best guys to ever play the game, but they weren't winners. And that's kind of what it was. KD had to go to the best team in NBA history to win a ring. And I think that's what they're all going to kind of be known by. It's just like these dogs who just weren't, like Russell's not a winner.
They all won MVPs, but they could never get those rings without joining the Warriors.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be kind of that fade or that legacy. So I don't think it messes with him trying to move around a little bit. Because honestly, that's pretty much what all of them are doing. At that point, all three of those guys, they're kind of bouncing around, moving around, definitely trying to get a ring, trying to get somewhere where they can get something done. But I don't know. I don't think it messes with his legacy at all. I think he's going to go down as one of the best players ever.
Yeah. The Rockets also able to get Steven Adams back and extend him on a contract. He was great in the playoffs. He's one of those guys, like you kind of mentioned, a leader in the locker room that the Thunder maybe just didn't have. But Steven Adams is one of those guys that's kind of cemented himself in the NBA as one of those. Kind of like our DeAndre Jordan, except Steven Adams can actually play basketball still. So that sucks. But I guess the next thing we'll get into those two Celtics trades as well. But the Nuggets, we finally figured out our GM situation, signing Ben Tenzer as our general manager. And I forget the second guy's name. Might have been like Josh Harrison or something. But he came over from the Timberwolves to also be like our co-operations something, whatever, one of those crazy titles. But instead of the Nuggets going out and trying to get a big fish like a Bob Myers or try to somehow sway Brad Stevens away from the Celtics or Danny Ainge away from the Utah Jazz, we ended up doing the same thing that the Nuggets always do and Kroenke always does, and hire in staff and probably for a discount. Do we see, obviously we don't know, no moves have been made yet. The draft is tomorrow. And moves are expected to be made by the Nuggets at some point, but nothing's happened yet. So I don't think we can really judge the hiring yet, but off first reactions, would you think it's, should we have swung big or should we stay conservative like we did?
I think the Nuggets need to swing big. I think what's happening right now is, it might be Kroenke. I don't know what all goes into it, but it might be one of those things where he's like, I'm going to hire this guy within the organization. I'm going to hire this guy within the organization. We're going to run this out until everybody's contract is done, and then we'll reset from that point. And, when we'll get rid of these guys when we have to sign them for a bunch of money, and we'll just do anything to keep Jokic. But, I think at the end of the day, I think that process that he's talking about right now, or that in the future, should be happening now. I think it's one of those things where you can't keep banking on this team to keep doing this and this and this and this. You're going to get so close. You need that one thing to put you over the line. You haven't had that yet. So, I don't know. I think it's just one of those things where you need to swing big. You need to make some moves. I think there's guys on the team, no matter how much Nuggets fans love them, I don't think it'd be a horrible idea to be like, but here's what we could do with them. Here's what we could turn this team into if we were able to ship them off somewhere. I've been a big advocate for, I think MPJ and Jamal Murray could be packaged in a deal for Giannis, a big dog to come in and play. If you really want to win, I just think that it doesn't seem like there's a lot of, wanting to win right now within the organization with the Nuggets. It's just very much kind of we're riding this, 2023 magic that we had, and we're going to kind of keep pushing through that and see if we can get lucky one of these years. When I think it's just kind of postponing the inevitable that you're just going to keep getting to this point and not be able to break through because you never had the bench, and you don't have these guys come up and make plays when Jokic is dropping 50 but nobody else is doing anything. It's kind of tough. So it would be nice to see them make some swings. I don't think it's too late, but it just doesn't seem like that's what they're going to do.
Thoughts, Caden?
I also would have liked to see them go outside of the organization. Like you said, though, it's not very Nugget-esque of them to do. I think at this point in the Nuggets where we're at, an outside perspective would have been very nice, especially in that high of a position. But what are you going to do, you know? Like you said, nothing we really know now. We just have to wait until they start making moves to see if we fucked up or not, really.
Which could be any second.
It could be. Like,
literally,
they could be working right now.
There's been, I think, 3 or 4 trades just today, and pretty significant ones. But, yeah, this could literally happen at any second where maybe Michael Porter could be shipped. We don't know.
Yeah.
He just texted me, too. But, yeah, like, you never know that literally any second now. Michael Porter could be gone. Jamal could be gone. Pretty much anybody off the Nuggets roster except for, like, Nikola Jokic and Aaron Gordon probably could be gone. So, yeah, I'm very interested to see. It's going to be weird. The Nuggets don't have a draft pick tomorrow. I think we're the only team in the whole NBA that doesn't have a draft pick in the first or second round. So that will be great to either sit around and watch them do nothing and kind of have all the pressure on everybody else drafting, or maybe they decide to trade up like sometimes we do. But we don't really have much to trade. That's the only issue. We have like no picks. Siknaji and Michael Porter are like our two like easiest, not easiest, but contracts that would be most beneficial for the Nuggets to trade. So yeah, I'm interested to see. Hopefully Ben Tenzer and whoever the other guy I said his name was shows up for the Nuggets, unlike Calvin Booth, the terrorist. So, and then yes, David Adelman. I don't know if I forget how long we've gone without recording, but David Adelman is also the head coach. That is now a set thing for the Nuggets staff as well. Was there any other firings? Tom Thibodeau was fired from the Knicks, I think, after we recorded last. Any thoughts on that? I know we have a couple Knicks fans that listen, so.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that needed to be done. I think they're kind of at a fork in the road where it's like we can either keep him around and keep doing what we've been doing, and our guys get burnt out by the time the playoffs come around and we can't figure it out, and all this. But I think it was one of those decisions that needed to be made, and I think honestly, had he saved face a little bit in the playoffs, maybe he doesn't get fired. But just from what I've heard from Knicks fans, it just seems like he was making the most bonehead decisions anybody's ever made on a basketball court, and that was the biggest issue. And when you do that and you can't pull it off, like it's only cool and crazy if it works, and if it doesn't, you just look like an idiot. And I feel like he was doing that a lot. So I think they're going to improve from it and be a lot healthier.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
I mean, I think you pretty much hit it. I think their biggest worry now is just getting past the Eastern Conference Finals, which hopefully with a less ran down team, you'll be able to do.
And I don't think they've hired a coach yet. I think they're still open to one. So maybe Michael Malone, like we once said. But other news: Drew Holiday gets shipped off for Anthony Simons. He goes back to the Portland Trailblazers. He actually never played a game there, but he was on the roster for about probably like a month until the Celtics snagged him off the team last time, and he ended up winning a ring. I could see this being the end of Drew Holiday's career. I could see him probably like retiring tomorrow if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Especially if no other like actual contender decides to trade for him, and I don't know how much you'd want to give up for a guy Drew Holiday's age, and with his kind of not injury history, but like his athleticism was kind of slowed down. He's not a big guard. He's kind of small, which doesn't help his case. Not a fantastic shooter, not a bad shooter, but not a fantastic shooter. And then the Celtics get younger with Anthony Simons. I don't know how that's really going to work. The way the Celtics are moving right now, I could see them tanking next year. Yeah. Especially with Jason Tatum being out probably all year with an Achilles injury. So I don't really know how Anthony Simons works and all that. But Drew Holiday, 2-time champion, and obviously I wouldn't say Hall of Fame caliber player, but it definitely has a Hall of Fame-esque resume, and in terms of especially like role players for what he was most of his career. Kind of might be the end of his career, but
yeah. No, I mean he's been around for a minute. Solid player. I haven't watched too much of his game, to be honest, but like he was kind of like one of those names when we were kind of growing up. So very interesting to see what he's gonna do next. I feel like the normal decision would be maybe to just kind of call it, but I feel like when you got a competitive spirit in you, that can kind of push you to play a couple more years when you probably doesn't even matter. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how this shapes up. And I think you're right about the Celtics with all the moves they're making and Jason Tatum being out. They're probably not going to be nearly as good as they were when, like, you got Jaylen Brown, but then your next best player is like a very old Al Horford.
They might trade Jaylen Brown too. There's some tweets rolling around right now that with those 5 first-round picks that Brooklyn got, might be shipped out for right now.
Yeah, you might, and it might just be one of those things where they're like, we got it done that year, and then the next year JT tore his Achilles, and we got rid of 2 guys. The future looks dull. Let's just kind of scrap it and kind of move on with Jason Tatum leading the future, but building around him with different pieces. That's
what the Nuggets should have done that one year when Jamal and Michael Porter were out. We should have just sat Jokic with a fake sprained ankle the whole year. But, Caden, any thoughts on that trade, the Drew Holiday one?
I mean, Portland, I guess they got a little better. I don't know how much it's going to help them in the long run, really, adding Drew Holiday. I mean, don't get me wrong. Great player, obviously, defensively, but I feel like they stay kind of stagnant with that. And then obviously the Celtics, like you said, I think they're kind of on a dump right now. It's just kind of, after Drew Holiday, I was like, okay, interesting. But then seeing Kristaps today, I was like, oh, okay, that's different. I wouldn't expect that. Yeah.
So in more news, Kristaps Porzingis has gotten traded to the Atlanta Hawks. I don't have the full deal up on my phone, but I know it included guys like George Niang. I think he went to the Celtics. I think Terrence Mann went to the Nets in that trade. Porzingis goes to the Hawks. A couple picks swapped in there. The Hawks, I think, if Kristaps Porzingis doesn't have AIDS, like some of the NBA community thinks he may, because still nobody knows what's wrong with him.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't have that big of an issue, this might be a huge upgrade for the Hawks, especially in long term of trying to keep Trae Young around. Putting a lineup together of Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, who was great last year, Porzingis. You guys have that rookie Richese or whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a decent little squad, especially in the East, when next year there's going to be possibly 3 high-level contenders that are missing some of their best players with Achilles injuries.
Yeah, no, and that's been kind of an issue with the Hawks for a while, is not having like this dominant big man since like Clint Capella was probably the last like real dominant big man we've had.
And dominant's a stretch, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
But like in terms of who we've had, he's pretty dominant. But but yeah, it's just interesting to see them making moves. I think I agree with you. I think it's a big move to try to get Trae Young to stick around and try to build stuff around him, because it was like we were talking about it. I mean, this was forever ago, but it's like, do you trade Trae Young or do you build around him? And I think they've made that decision that they're going to keep him. They're going to build around him. So I don't know, man. They're always kind of up there. They're close to being kind of that breakthrough, like right at the bar, and it's gonna be interesting to see if this pushes them over that limit.
Yeah, I mean, if I was the Hawks, I'd want to stick with Trae Young too. I wouldn't really want to trade him. But where were they placed last year? Did they even make a play in?
I think they were right outside.
I think they just were outside.
Yeah,
that sounds all right. Hey, we'll see. We can see him in the play in this year.
Yeah,
I think we improve.
Maybe they even get to that top 6.
Hey,
with some of these guys beat out.
Maybe. There's a high possibility.
And then I think I got the full trade up here now. It's Atlanta gets Kristaps Porzingis and a second round pick, Terrence Mann, and Atlanta's number 22 overall pick this year goes to the Nets, and then George Niang and a second rounder to the Celtics. The tweet I did see that it did say if he might actually have AIDS if what they got was George Niang for him. So I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, George Niang, known great role player, I guess, supposedly. One sec. But yeah, the Hawks ultimately get better, and I think we might be able to see them in the playoffs next year with a decent lineup, which I don't think the Hawks have had since that one year that they were in the Eastern Conference Finals against who was it?
LeBron.
No, it was all those back in the day too. It's whenever Trae Young beat the Sixers in that one playoff run, and I think he beat the Knicks as well. And then I think I forget who they ended up losing to. Probably,
Bucks.
I was gonna say probably like the Bucks or something.
That they won
the Bucks did.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Full circle moment for all these teams. But yeah, shout out to the Hawks. Your second favorite team might have got a little bit better today. So, any other NBA news I was forgetting?
That was all. I mean.
There was one more trade today that sent Jordan Poole, NBA champion guard. That was the headline from Yahoo Sports. It said CJ McCollum traded for former NBA champion guard and they just didn't add that it was fucking Jordan Poole out of all people. So Jordan Poole goes to the New Orleans Pelicans to join Zion Williamson. And then to the Wizards, I think it was C.J. McCollum and a couple other pieces, which now, I mean, they have Marcus Smart, C.J. McCollum, and Chris Middleton, maybe the oldest staffed guards ever. Sadiq Bey, all just on the Wizards for absolutely zero reason.
Yep.
Any thoughts on those trades? I don't think they really moved the needle in any direction anywhere, but it's a trade.
Yeah, it is definitely a trade. I'm interested to see how it goes, but I think that's the fun part about a lot of these trades. It's like looking back, like next year this time, like analyzing and seeing which ones really were like panned out and which ones went really good. Going to be interesting to see if this is one of them. I don't know.
Any thoughts?
Oh, we did it again. I mean, I think Washington got better. I mean, if you're going straight up C.J. McCollum for Jordan Poole, I think I'm taking C.J. McCollum all the time. And then you, I guess, throw Kelly Olynyk in there because why not?
Because why not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the Pelicans are trying to do really.
Just hope Zion's healthy.
Yeah.
I think that's their only hope.
Yeah.
A couple other things I thought was funny. Like, we also forgot Brandon Ingram's just like on the Raptors. I don't think he played a game with them after the trade deadline, but he's just there.
Yeah.
Randomly, like I don't know. There's so many things that happen in sports that you kind of forget after the fact. Like I was talking to, I think Christian might have been yesterday night about the possible. Like, we're going to get into NFL preseason or NFL season itself and see half of these guys on other teams, which we're going to talk a little bit about on the other side. But we're going to see some of these guys on some of these teams and be like, when the hell did this happen? And it happens every year with every sport. Yeah. But, so I think that kind of wraps up the NBA right now. More to come. Obviously, the draft starts tomorrow. It is a 2-day draft now. So, like, Bronny James would have got his own day this year if he was, got drafted this year. But... so 2 days of that, which means 2 pretty much big days for the NBA, and then I think free agency opens as early as like July 6th or something next week, something like that. So free agency's right around the corner. The NBA always moves quick. Somehow the WNBA season will already be over by the time the NBA free agency starts, probably, but just a joke. But maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so
I didn't laugh because I thought you were being serious. They're so short.
I think their season lasts till like September now, which is crazy to me. It seems way longer than usual. And do you want to get asked any Caitlin Clark questions before we move on, or any Angel Reese questions?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Lay 'em on me.
But yeah, that'll wrap up the NBA. On the other side, we're going to talk a little NFL and maybe a couple other things. So yeah, let's get to the other side.
Verb Energy bars give you that extra boost that you need in the morning. They have an assortment of different types of bars, whether it's from caffeinated bars for the morning, as well as protein bars, whether in the morning or after your workouts. My personal favorite right now is the chocolate chip banana bread. It's awesome. Helps me get through the day, through the podcast, also through the work throughout the week. So right now, if you go onto their website, use code ROCKSOLID, you can get 30% off your next order. Verb Energy is the best way to start your day. Go check them out.
All right, welcome back to the second half of the show. Per usual, go shop Verb Energy bars. Please do it. You heard Jackson's voice in the ad. Great ad. So yeah, go check them out. Use code ROCKSOLID, get 30% off checkout, and it helps us out as well. So that'd be great if you guys decided you wanted to do that today. Verb Energy bars, go shop. NFL news. Since we last talked, we did talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers getting signed to the Steelers, him possibly not having a real wife. We don't know. Still don't know. But he did say today that he's pretty sure that this will be his last NFL season, which in the history of former Packers quarterbacks that have contemplated retirement, it usually takes a couple years. So this might be just the first step of a couple seasons down the line. Then he retires.
Yeah. I want to say he came pretty close this year to calling it before he made a decision with the Steelers. I want to say he actually got, if I had to guess, I would say he got pretty close to probably being like, I'm done. But I think he thought, like, you know what? Let's have one more. Tell myself it's the last one, and then it'll be a lot easier to do it. I think he's left that question up in the air going into the offseason for too long. And then it's kind of like when you're done, you feel like you didn't leave everything out there, and you're like, I don't know. But, like, if you know it's your last, that's when, you know, all that effort's going to go into it and all that. So I think he got pretty close to not playing this year, but I think he decided just maybe one more. But good for him. Hell of a career. One of the best quarterbacks of all time.
First ballot.
Yeah, easy. So yeah, I mean, last ride.
Some are saying retirement tours might be back after this.
Yeah.
We haven't really had a huge retirement tour since I feel like Kobe in 2016. I guess Tom Brady too, but then remember he came back, after the fact.
Well, yeah, because he's kind of like the last guy of like the past era of the NFL, like the one that we grew up on. Like he's kind of the last man standing in terms of the great quarterbacks that we saw. He's the last one. So once he's done, every remnant of the old,
So Stafford's like the next closest thing, and that's still like was a couple years removed from Aaron Rodgers kind of starting his career. But yeah, like we haven't really seen a retirement tour in a very long time. Yeah. Like Peyton Manning just kind of left on a limb after going out on top. Respect to the sheriff. Tom Brady kind of did the same. They won a Super Bowl, and he was like, I'm done. And then he came back, and they just sucked for a year. Yeah. I think lost to Taylor Heineke in the playoffs. But yeah, so really interesting. If it actually decides to be his last year. Kind of a tough schedule, just being in the AFC North in general for your last year. But yeah, I mean, Steelers are pretty much poised to always be 500 or just a little bit better. So if that's the case, then they're going to have a decent season, better than Aaron Rodgers has really had in his last like 2 or 3, 4 seasons. So, and then we'll obviously talk a lot of NFL once it gets closer, have an NFL preview, all that, actually get into that in depth. A couple other things. Quarterback, 3rd, 4th string, I don't know at this point, but Shedeur Sanders cited for his 2nd speedy ticket already in the state of Ohio in, I think, less than a month, maybe 2 months, like if he's been there since like April. But I think I'm proud to say that I went to Ohio and I got 2 less speeding tickets than he did in more time.
Yeah. I think it's just going to take him a little bit to realize that maybe it's not Boulder anymore. It's, because when he's in that college town, I mean, like his name carries a lot of weight. But when you're in Ohio, those guys pull you over, and they didn't recognize him or his name.
Didn't give a shit.
And so he was like, Shedeur, and he was like, who? And it was just like, damn, they really do not know who he is. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things though, where it's like, it's good to have it happen like kind of earlier, especially when you're not going as fast as you could be going. But hopefully he just learns from this and just kind of moves from it a little bit. I don't know, but going to be interesting to see how he does on those roads.
Caden, any thoughts on Shedeur Sanders getting pulled over twice?
I mean, I feel like I've never been to Ohio. You do. You have been. I don't know what much else there is to do in Ohio except drive fast.
Drive fast to go to football practice.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I saw some tweet and like, didn't the same thing happen to Braun? Like his first, right after he got drafted, he got cited doing like almost the exact same speed.
Probably.
It could have just been a lie, Twitter. But I mean, who cares? He's young. He's a kid. Is he alive and he didn't kill anyone?
Yes.
That's what matters.
That's the good news, for sure. His former teammate, Travis Hunter, did sign. Finally, he was the last player to sign out of that first-round class. Finally signed his contract, 4-year deal, $30 million up front. Pretty big deal for, a rookie, especially a guy that we don't really know. Like usually quarterbacks obviously get paid a lot of guaranteed money up front if you're in that first round. I think Joe Burrow said he woke up to like $27 million in his bank account the next day after getting drafted or something like that, which is fucking insane. But yeah, Travis Hunter, the way they announced it was pretty cool. They used 2 different tweets and was like, we signed defensive back Travis Hunter, and then a different tweet they were like, we have signed wide receiver Travis Hunter. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I guess just obviously we'll talk about it more in the long run. But initial thoughts on the Jags kind of locking up their guy.
Yeah, I think it's smart. I think the biggest thing when it's going to come to Travis Hunter is when the season starts, he's going to have like a welcome to the NFL moment where someone about 4 times his size really cracks him. And I think everyone the Jags organization is praying that doesn't hurt him. Because I think if he can kind of get used to how it feels and how to move in the NFL, I think he's going to be a dog. I think he's going to be mainly a receiver that it comes in on certain sets on defense, or like maybe in the playoffs, like in the Super Bowl, maybe he would, if they were to make it to the Super Bowl, he would play both sides the entire time. I don't know. Or maybe they'll just see as the season goes on where he's better. But I think wide receiver, he's more fit to play right now because, I mean, he's a small guy. And, like, he hits hard. He plays hard. He's a dog. But it's like, this isn't, these aren't Big 12 teams.
Big 12, yeah.
This is NFL guys who have been the best forever. So it's going to be really interesting to see, I think. But like I said, I think everyone's just hoping that when he gets that welcome to the NFL hit, that it doesn't, like, hurt him. And, like, he doesn't get cracked and doesn't get back up for a while. I think they're hoping it's like a wake-up call, but not, pain. But you got to pay a guy like that because the upside is unreal. Like, he could be one of the most generational players we've ever seen. But, yeah, you got to pay him, and I think it's a good thing he got paid. He's a good kid, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Besides that whole wife thing, but yeah.
That might actually make him too good of a kid. It's too nice of a person. I mean, I didn't think they had much of a choice in to sign him or not sign him. He's, like Jackson just said, the upside on him is tremendous. Like simply put, you could play 2 players for the price of 1. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think this year's just going to be a lot of trial and error, seeing where he fits best, what he fits best doing, and I don't think he's going to have the most insane year, except for the fact that if he's playing both sides, then everyone's going to be shooting their pants. But like I said, I think it's going to be a lot of trial and error and figuring out how you're even going to play someone 2 sides of the ball in the NFL.
If he can win either offensive or defensive rookie of the year, and then have both. Well, if he wins both, that'd be absolutely insane. But if he won just one of them and then had maybe top 3 in voting in the other one, that's already an insane start to your career.
I'm gonna warn people right now that if he has a half decent season at either position, he's going to win both.
Yeah, probably.
It will not matter if he's 3rd or 4th on those lists. If he's close, they're gonna give both to him.
Yeah, I could see that. That's funny. I think the last NFL news I had, what was it? Oh, yeah. Any thoughts on Taylor Swift attending Tight End University this week?
And no. I mean, it's just gotten to the point where I just don't even care
I
anymore.
am talking about the football position, by the way.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I don't know if I care anymore, to be honest. It's just like at first it was like everywhere. And now it's like, it still is kind of like shoved in your face a little bit, but it's more of just like, that's his girlfriend. Cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like she follows him around. They're both very popular. She's obviously way more famous than he is, but it's very interesting. Just pretty cool matchup there, I guess. I don't know. It literally, I could care less about what.
If she's out there running routes, then I'll be excited.
Yeah, no, that'd be fire.
Just see her maybe get laid out across the middle or something. Caden, any thoughts on this very stupid question?
I'm with Jackson. I think we've made it past the point of the Taylor Swift insanity in the NFL, but I also think a large part to do with that is Travis Scott. Wow.
Straight up.
Travis Scott is swooping in. No, Travis Kelce is not playing at the level he was when they started dating, so it was much more of it was way bigger, but last year he wasn't his best year.
Damn, are you calling dude a role player now?
Kinda.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see after next year. If Taylor Swift was my wife, I wouldn't care about how well I played football either.
Yeah, 1,000%. That's funny. All right, I guess last news I have on the docket. The Rockies won a significant amount of games in the month of June.
Yes,
and I think that deserves at least its own conversation, considering how many times we have shit on the Rockies on this program here. They have won, I think, maybe 7 games this month or something like that, which, hey, that's not the most, but that's a great start in the right direction.
Yeah. No, I agree.
They had the Ryan meetup, which brought in one of the biggest crowds in Coors Field in a while.
Yep.
Both Ryans played great.
I was at that game. It was very entertaining.
Gianna Girardi's has the realms of the in-stadium host. Shout out to her.
Mm-hmm.
I think big moves are going for the Rockies right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, hey, you got our boy from Atlanta. You got Orlando Arcia, and ever since he joined the team, I'm not saying he's the reason, but ever since he joined, you guys have been playing a lot better.
I agree.
I don't know. It's just they caught their hot streak, and I mean we've talked about this a bunch, and I've been saying I think they're due for some sort of hot streak. I think this is what we're seeing right now. If they can keep this pace up, or even half of this pace, they can definitely reach 30-something wins. I think because there's still 70 games left in the season. I think they can get up into the 30s, but they're definitely not going to break that record now. I mean, unless they plan on only winning 4 games in the next 70, which is about impossible. But they would have to do worse than they did at the beginning of the year, which is something.
Would be tough.
Yeah, so I think, interesting to see the future of the team. I don't know. It doesn't know. I don't know if they're going to make any moves. The owner of the team just seems to not give a singular fuck about anything.
Is there a Jackson meetup anytime soon?
Dude, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there should be.
There should be. I agree. Or just guys with the first letter of their name's J.
There you go.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
That's all that guy cares about.
Any thoughts, Caden? I
Selling
mean,
tickets.
huge run. Huge run the Rockies have been on recently.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I think I don't know. I saw since some date we were like we'd won the most games in the MLB.
Also 5-5 in your last 10. That's 500.
That's right. And you know what? 18 and 60 ain't looking too bad anymore.
No,
I'll say that much.
That NL West is so loaded. Go ahead.
I know. I don't think this says anything about. I think we're exactly where they thought they would be. Anyway, they still suck ass.
The NL West is ridiculous. They have 4 teams that have it's 40 wins or more, and then the Rockies are 18 and 60, which is crazy drop off. But it's just crazy how good the NL West is. Dodgers in town this week, 3-game series. Predictions: Rockies, Dodgers.
Dodgers, all of the games. No, the Dodgers might blow one. Honestly, might lose tomorrow.
Yeah,
because that tends to happen.
That usually, whenever I go to the Dodgers games now, we usually lose. So
yeah, every Braves game that I've been to in Coors Field, they lose.
Yeah,
David's Yankees came to town, they lost.
Yep.
Dodgers are coming, probably will lose one.
Yep.
And more than likely it'll be the one that we go see tomorrow. So
probably.
But at the end of the day, it's probably going to be a tight win in the game 1 for the Rockies, and then they're just going to get steamrolled in the next 2 games. If the Rockies win 1. So, yeah, I'm going Dodgers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Caden, any predictions?
Oh yeah, Rocky sweep.
Okay.
Tell me one notable Dodgers player, and I'll tell you why we beat them.
Kike Hernandez.
Yeah, took you a while, didn't it? I know it's
weird
tough.
name.
Yeah, never heard of him.
All right. Yeah, that's all I have on the dock. Any other news I missed? Shane Gillis hosting the ESPYs.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's going to be very interesting. We were talking about this before he came back on. I think he isn't as good when he has a lot of restrictions as to what he can say and what he can joke about and all this kind of stuff. The ESPYs has always been pretty good about letting people be pretty off the leash. Uh-huh. But it's gonna be interesting. It's probably gonna be funny as fuck, even if he is restricted. But yeah, he's just gonna. I just can see him already just being so fucking awkward the entire time, being looking at these professional athletes who some of them might not have any idea who he is.
Whenever he sees that first Eagles player sitting in there, he's going to be so happy.
Oh,
if Jalen Hurts is third row in there, he's going to be like, oh my gosh. Jalen Hurts.
Oh, yeah.
Any thoughts on Love Island?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. I told Izzy I'd ask. So, yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. Any other news that I forgot? I don't think so.
Only thing I could think of was what Kroenke said today about Jokic.
Oh. Yeah, I don't even want to put that into the air.
Yeah, I can't believe he said what was the quote.
No, I saw the quote, but what's that situation where they would be forced to trade him?
I can't say that word on air. Not smart thinking.
Second apron tax, which is what the Boston Celtics just traded half their salary to get under. Second apron really fucks over you in taxes in the NBA. And if we're one of those teams over the second apron, which we're not right now, but obviously with deals that possibly in the future, Jokic is he's supposed to get an extension this summer. He just said if somebody was to get hurt, that
shouldn't get hurt. Pretty much.
Yeah,
he said pretty much if the wrong person.
If the wrong person gets hurt, 15 might be gone.
Well, he said
I don't want to. But
yeah, he said he said if the wrong person gets hurt, we get into a situation I don't ever want to contemplate, which is trading 15.
Yeah,
which pretty much just said that without the way I feel like I took it, and probably most people is. In the right situation, Jokic is not untouchable, which is scary.
Yeah.
As a fan.
I don't like that.
Not one bit.
I read that, and me and Kroenke are going to have some words. We don't even have to say that out loud until it happens.
No, exactly. You don't put that in teams' heads that once we start, if someone goes down, the teams are going to be like, hey, so Jokic,
Did you see how many Lakers jersey swaps I saw today? I would stop watching basketball if we traded him to anywhere in the Western Conference. If we traded him ever, I'd probably stop watching basketball. But if we traded him to the Lakers, I'd probably purposely make it my goal in life to stop the NBA myself from happening. Yeah. I don't know how that would work. I don't know. we'd have to figure that out. We need some of those lawyers. I won't say what kind of lawyers, but we need some of those if we want to take down the NBA. So, yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, go Dodgers. And yeah, have a good day. Have a good week, everybody. Go tell somebody you love them. You might just make their day. Peace.
Peace.